So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So I'm Wilbur Diaco, and I'll talk from the Office of National Statistics in the UK, and I'll talk around some of our experiences in engineering, designing and developing the ETL process for census data from England and Wales, but also related administrative data sources. Just bear with me. My screen's not moving. Okay, that's better. So, yep. So I will talk around ETL for census, and also, as I said, some associated admin data sources and the pre-processing that we did, just to bring to life some of the challenges that we faced. So we use a big data platform using Cloudera, and our processing is based around Apache Spark. So in terms of the data collection, data transfer, ingest processes, so there's some similarities between the survey data and the admin data. And for survey data, for census, we use Google Cloud Platform for the ingest, and for admin data, a mixture of automated processes using Amazon Web Services, but also secure manual transfer. And then the data is ingested into our data access platform, which is a data lake. And that's ingested in its raw form. Some formats aren't handled by the platform, but most formats are ingested in raw form, from which we then pick up and then ETL that data. So our key technology stack is around using Apache Spark and Python. But to make data available to our business partners, business users across ONS, we transform that data from its raw format into Apache Hive tables, which are then used for linkage between data sets. I'll skip that slide. Wait, bear with me a minute. So I think one of the things in terms of the key things for us is around the requirements and the variation in data. So for census, we operated a large number of pipelines, ETL pipelines, and which meant a large amount of data being ingested and engineered each day, with a peak of I think it was 7 million responses that were engineered on the peak day. So each of those pipelines had had its own data flow, and which is the same as in with the admin data. I think the key learning that we've gathered, one of the key learning points that we've gathered over the time we've been working with data on the big data platform, on the Cloudera platform, the general learning is around reusable code. So going back, if we were doing this again, we'd look to designing reusable code, use of reusable code solutions, and the same with our admin data sources. We're currently developing an ETL framework, so each kind of based on reusable functions. So the principle of develop the function and use many times in the same way as the admin data sources that come into ONS. The principle is receive the data and process it once for use many times across the organization. So the data is used for many different to create many different statistical outputs and analytical learning. So as you see here, this kind of gives you the feel for the the number of pipelines that we run for census, and this is similar for some admin data sources. So the ETL is in green here, in the dark green, which shows you the different pipelines and kind of the subsequent stages in the data processing pipeline. So the ETL transform the data from census, from JSON format. So the data is for census is in JSON format. Other data can be in CSV format, text format, XML format. So a number of different file formats, which we then transform into a flat table structure. We do a number of kind of processing steps to enrich the data, and a key thing is around adding geography address information to the data to put each record in a place, because it's key to ONS to be able to enable analysis and statistics at local level, local geographic level. And these steps, a number of these steps are done both on the survey data, but also on across most of our admin data sources, especially around assigning geographies, geographic information, unique property reference number from the using the address index matching service to admin data, and that unique property reference number enables linkage between data sets, because in the UK we don't have the concept of a population, a person identifier, and a personal ID. So the linkage between households, for example, is done using the unique property reference number. I'll skip that slide. So the challenges that we see, both in terms of admin data, around the evolving requirements, so requirements that are coming from our business users. So for the census, in terms of interoperability, the ETL stage, and the subsequent processing stage, the common understanding of requirements and common implementation of those requirements across those different teams involved in those different stages. So having a well documented, well defined set of requirements, but also the accompanying conversations around those requirements to ensure that those requirements are interpreted consistently is one of the key challenges. We also had some challenges around the interface requirements, between the different stages. So in terms of operationally implementing a pipeline, it's those, as I said, the documenting the stages so that the data flows between those stages automatically. So a key thing is around automating where possible, so automating each step in the data pipeline where possible, and also around using test data and synthetic test data. So for census, for example, and for probably most of our admin data sources, we're not yet at the stage where we've been able to generate synthetic test data, which will then make the actual live engineering of those data sets a lot easier. So that's something that we certainly aspire to, is being in a position to create synthetic test data. So the operational delivery was successful for census because of the conversations between the different teams, and it's around that interoperability between the different stages, and having that well defined, well understood, so that those stages can be automated. So for us, the key thing is to automate where possible and as early as possible. Maintenance of the pipelines, I think that's something we would again learn from the experience to date, to build in operational dashboards, to then give us that live view of the health of the pipelines and the data quality from the point of ingest, data collection through to ingest and through each of the key processing stages. And finally, just around the repackaging and optimization. So in terms of the pipeline and the enabling the interoperability between the different stages of the pipeline. So the effects of, say, one stage, our stage, for census, for example, and the size of the data that we're passing from that stage to the next stage of the processing pipeline. There was significant work involved in optimizing those stages. So in terms of the practical implementation of the processing pipeline, optimizing those stages so that to mitigate the impact and on large batch sizes and enabling the data to flow well between the stages. So that's the key thing. I think our key learning in terms of admin data and also survey data is around that linkage, enabling that linkage between the different stages using the unique property reference number and other variables, derived variables, which enable linkage, monitoring the health of the pipeline, and automating where possible, and having those conversations, as well as having the overarching kind of framework that we work within. It's also having the conversations between people in the working teams. So each of us got the common understanding of the pipeline and the definition of the requirements and how each of those stages work together, talk to each other. Okay, thank you.